In this session, we'll talk about prokaryote cell type of division. So we'll get to understand what are the stages involved and also what really happens in that. So without even wasting our time, shall we start? Okay, so prokaryotes undergo a cell division called binary fission. Why is it binary? We understand what a binary is something two. So it uses the process called binary fission. All right. So it uses binary fission as one way of actually undergoing the cell division type. So we remember in one of the session we did the structure of prokaryotes organism, and I'll give the example of one of that structure. All right. So we looked at it. It had a tail like that. Okay. So inside there were other cells, of course. All right. I mean the other layers of the cell. So we had something like this, okay, and other stuffs inside. So I'll go direct and put what we saw as one type of nucleus or just the DNA. All right. So this is the nucleus that we had. So the nucleus, it was coiled. All right. So this nucleus, that's where we find our DNA, or just the DNA of these guys. So DNA of prokaryotes organisms. All right. So which is just some kind of nucleus. So the best example that undergo this process, we have what we call a bacteria. All right. And an archaea. Okay. So archaea and bacteria are the best examples. So there are stages that this guy or these organism have to undergo before they actually divide. So what are those stages? We are here to talk about those stages now. All right. So who understand what are those stages that these guys undergo? So these are celled organism, like we said, they are unicellular. So shall we start now? So what happens is that the first thing that will happen, this is the DNA, like we said. All right. So this process undergo what we call binary fission. Something which is binary is 2. Okay. So you will see how this binary is related to this type of division. Okay. So this guy has a circular DNA, as we can see there. All right. So the first thing that happens, that the DNA replication inside will take place when all the cells or all the components required for the cell division to take place are available. So once they are available, those components, the DNA is going to do what? Is going to break. All right. So replication of DNA take place. All right. It will replicate. I've just demonstrated this cutting thing, but it just, let's say it was like this. Then it will again, I have another daughter there. That's the replication. So it will make a copy. So I'm demonstrating like this just to show you the concept. So the DNA replication first occurs. So these are the stages now. All right. DNA replication occurs. All right. So it is this DNA that we want in another what cell, or this case we call it daughter cell. So once DNA replicate inside, so there's this thing that is going. So once it replicates, all right, these nucleus, they will actually follow the other side of the cell or cell membrane so that they can attach there after they have been cut off. So this, once they have been cut off, the cutting off is aided by the enzyme called FTZ, FTSZ, like that. So this is the enzymes aiding in this. So after DNA replication will occur inside there, it will just make a copy. After making a copy, this is where now the what FTZ is what is now acting on the process. So the FTZ enzyme is going to aid in the septation or in the cutting of the cell. So this after the so DNA replication by what? By an enzyme called DNA polymerase. So the enzyme is called DNA polymer, is making a copy. All right, so that is the enzyme involved, I mean involved in the replication of DNA. So DNA polymerase is going to actually cause the DNA to do what? To replicate. Once the DNA replicates, now the stage that we need to undergo after this is now what we call now the use of what? FTSZ. All right, formation of septum on the middle here. So a boundary will be formed. In this case, we'll say a foundation. When someone is building a house, they have to make a foundation. So after all, they have all the man, which is now the DNA replication. They are laid, and they have to build the what? To dig some foundations, and that's the meaning of FTZ. That's the use of FTZ. FTSZ is going to what? So now say formation of the septum. All right, so formation of septum, which is the septation by the enzyme FT. I'll tell you the acronym FTZ stands for. So septum, which is just the formation of the septum, is called septation. All right, through the use of FTSZ, this enzyme is there actually to make things soft. All right, and that's the reason why it has now made this what? This formation here. It is now the use of what? FTZ. All right, so after that, after the septum is formed by the use of FTZ, the replication now is going to occur. So replication will occur. Replication will occur. Okay, so this replication is the replication of the cell wall specifically. So replication will occur. So I'll just say replication of cell wall will occur. No, let me just say replication will occur. All right. So replication of cell will occur, which result in the formation of the daughter cell. All right, so I'll say replication of the cell will occur in a what? In a bidirectional way. So bidirectional way. All right, or bidirectional way. All right, so this bidirectional way simply means if this one goes to the other side, then the other one will go to the other side. That's the meaning. So they will go on their opposite poles. So replication of cell will occurs, all right, in a what? Bidirectional way. Okay, so it will occur in the bidirectional way. This actually ends the division of these guys. All right, so we can now say two daughter cells are formed. All right, so two daughter cells are formed. So meaning that if you had one, so will result into what? Into two. Okay, so that's the meaning. Then FTZ stand for filamentous temperature sensitive zone, or protein Z. All right, so filamentous, so FTSZ simply means this one stands for filamentous, this one stands for temperature, this one stands for sensitive, then this one stands for protein Z. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next chapter where I'll be talking about something else.